Our next speaker is Chris Henderson, who's the author of Aboriginal Power, and for the past 2.5 decades has focused his career on the intersection of clean energy, sustainable development, environmental action, economic development, and Aboriginal communities. A mentor to Aboriginal clean energy leaders across Canada, Chris is sought by communities, governments, utilities, private corporations, and independent power development companies for strategic advice. He's now the president of Lumos Energy, and Chris works with First Nations and Métis and Inuit communities across Canada to realize hydro, wind, and biomass as sustainable prosperity for Canada's First Peoples. Chris.
In the next 6.5 minutes, I'm going to share with you how I think clean energy can be a force that can restore, reconnect, revitalize, respect, reinvigorate, reinvest, and renew economies, relationships, and communities. Well, that's going to be easy. A few months ago, I had the privilege of being in New York City and getting 400,000 new friends at the People's Climate March. And as I walked that march with my wife, Andrea, and met those 400,000 people, you saw the force that is unfolding that some of our speakers have spoken about already. The world is changing, and the opportunity to do that is real. The people in the People's Climate March were simply saying, look, it's time to change. Now, how do we do it at the community level, as individuals, as companies, in a way that's powerful and positive and plentiful? And I started the People's Climate March with a group of about 10,000 people in a church service that was the most reinvigorating I had ever been to. If you think that gospel music for one preacher is powerful, think about what gospel music with 10,000 people is like. But it was also a plea. It was also a plea for us to think differently, to do things differently, so we can really get where we need to go. Along the People's Climate March, we had some very humorous things, like this gentleman who put up this nautically challenged sign. The beauty of the People's Climate March, there was humor, there was generosity, there was a real sense of hope and vitality, and I believe, as others have said, we are on a force that is truly change-oriented in that sphere. So what is it that I do? I want to do what these people do. This mother and her 2 daughters are pulling up a sign that I expect all of us in this room embrace. So the question is, how do we get there? I do 2 things in my work. The first thing I do is that I act as clean energy advisor to First Nations, Inuit, and Métis communities across this country, from coast to coast to coast, to Labrador, northern Quebec, northern Ontario, northern Manitoba, southern Saskatchewan, northern Alberta, northern BC, and Yukon, and that's just last week. I'm not exaggerating. What we have now with Aboriginal communities is that over 60 Aboriginal communities now own or operate part of a clean energy project of scale in this country. Communities like this. We have another 100 projects yet to come online. In sum, those projects represent an investment of $145 billion. And we're 1/3 of the way to that already. And these projects truly change how, in fact, we deliver services. And it's led by Aboriginal champions, like Judith Sayers from the Hupakasset First Nation near Port Alberni, Vancouver Island. These Aboriginal leaders have said, we will take our traditional territory, our Indigenous rights, and we will be part of the solution future. And through that form, we will also fuel the economic development that we need. Economic development, like people like Gordon Planis from the Souk First Nation in Victoria has done. This building, where they put solar panels on, is only one of 30 community buildings in the community covered with solar power. There are only 32 community buildings in the community. Talk about 100% renewable power. So Aboriginal communities are now embracing these sources of power in dynamic ways. They could be small run-of-river projects, larger projects that are ecologically sensitive, biomass projects, large-scale solar. Yesterday I was in Pembroke, Ontario, talking to the Algonquins of Ontario on 3 large solar plants with the Ontario Renewable System. It's plants that will take $40 to $100 million each 10 to 20 megawatts. The other story here is that these represent an opportunity for interface with municipalities, cities, and towns. There's a sustainable development interface. This is the community of Inukjuak in northern Quebec, which is putting hydropower to replace diesel 100% in that community. But they're doing it with a sustainable development interface with the community, so it truly drives employment. This is the Chaudière Falls at the Ottawa River between Ottawa, Ontario, and Quebec. And you can see the capital in the background. There, Hydro Ottawa is expanding its hydropower excuse me, and in partnership with the Algonquin people, and we're driving that forward as well. So there's an economic element of the relationship between First Nations and municipalities. And finally, there's the issue of partnership itself, how you drive these projects together. And I can tell you that in a week, in a month, I will be with dozens of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit communities who are forging major partnerships for the future that drive prosperity. So where does that leave us? Is it just a Canadian thing? No. It's about Eastern vision, Northern experience, Western know-how, and Southern imperatives. What's happening in Canada and Aboriginal power is relevant to Indigenous communities in Latin America, in Africa, in Asia. How they can work with their communities to generate renewable power that changes communities forever in a more resilient and economically powerful way. The other thing I do is I've just taken over chairmanship of the Globe Conference here in Vancouver. And so we will make sure that the ideas of this event will be fused into Globe next year, and I'd love to talk to anyone about that, on how to make Globe better, more interactive, and more powerful, and more renewable. So where does that leave us? Effectively, I think we're being suboptimal if we say renewable energy is about renewable energy. The way I pursue renewable energy in Aboriginal communities is truly to how we revitalize and reconcile the relationships we have with First Peoples, changing 180 years of bad history to a good future. And we do that in this reconciliation in a powerful way. You can make ecology better even with a hydro project. You can revitalize local economies, Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal, with a solar project. So look and be aspirational, be larger and more powerful in its impact. For Aboriginal communities, what this will do is create what I've called a clean energy capital circle. It's a circle that starts with a renewable energy project but has a series of outputs and dividends that are economic, social, resilient, economic, and truly sustainable. And you'd like to know more, like to read my book? See me later. That's what's underway now. And frankly, that is a story I'm incredibly happy to be a part of, very proud to be a part of. Kilometer 5 of the climate march was this young girl who had a t-shirt saying, "Thank you for marching for me and our planet." And let's march with her. Thanks.